Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. These are some real devils. These are some real devils, demons we dealing with. So I'm going to get into this lesson. The Spirit moved me to go back into this Last Supper painting. And why is this so significant in the understanding of the Bible? Because once you understand that images, actually control narratives, and actually it's a part of mind control. If I can show you an image of something, and I can give you a narrative of what that image means, I can control the story. I can control your mind. So what a so-called white man has done is mastered imagery. So what they did is, during the Renaissance, around the 16th century, they had these slew of painters paint all the biblical figures that look like so-called white people, including the Messiah, including the Most High. And they changed the image. They changed his likeness. They gave him a personality that's very effeminate. And this is blasphemy of the Bible and the saints, which are the Israelites, and the Most High, and the Messiah. So right here. So this video reads, it said, art unites the peoples of the earth. And that's true, because a picture can cross over to different languages. Somebody that don't even speak the same language can understand a picture. And this is why they did this. They had to have images to brainwash you. So I'm going to jump back to this video. I'm going to show you this video of this devil, Leonardo da Vinci, painting of the Last Supper. And I'm going to show you that it's a woman in that painting. There's actually two women, but I'm going to show you a very noticeable woman that's in that picture, and it's undisputed what I'm going to show you. And what does that tell you? That is all a forgery. It's all a lie. It's a myth. It was created. Because there wasn't no woman, no disciple or apostle. Right here. I just want to get straight to the point. It says storytelling and imagery. It says utilize classical or contemporary paintings to narrate scripture. You hear this? Such as scenes from the life of JC, as they say. His true name is Yahweh Shai. He was a so-called black man. It says, or in Old Testament stories, which can be explored using questions like, what do you see that makes you say that? So that's what these devils use the artwork, because they control the media, they control the publishing, they control what you see and what you don't see. They have blanketed the earth with these lies. I'm gonna jump back here. So I'm gonna show you this woman, and actually what this devil did. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Borgia family and its affiliates. So let's get into this. So in this video, they showing close-ups of this painting, and this painting has been replicated probably over 20, 50 million times. And it's in a lot of people's homes. A lot of these so-called churches, still got this image up. So let's play it. Let me skip it up a little bit right here. Look at that. That's a woman right there. They're going to zoom in on it right here. See if I can zoom. No, I can't zoom in on it. So right here, you're looking at three individuals. So if you're looking straight up at it, the one to your far right is a woman. And I dare anybody to dispute that's a woman. And I did a lesson on this a while back that was showing this, but this is a close-up using these devils, painting to expose them. So was not none of the disciples or apostles women. So what does that tell you? This is a forgery. This is a lie. And they wasn't so-called white people either. But a lot of you Edomites, you so-called white people, you'll see these inconsistencies, but you won't deal with them. You act like you have that cognitive dissonance, like what we showing you ain't the truth, and it ain't nothing going on right there. But they go to show you that you the devil. It says Job, a man that got understanding will say, you know what? Damn, they right. Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies. So the white man, so-called white man, that's all he do is fucking lie. He lied to you with a straight face. That's why the scriptures say never trust thine enemy. It says you are all physicians of no value. So they bought you that jabby jab, that which was pop control, was population control. They created, I don't even want to go there, but you get what I'm saying. Let's go back here, analyze this again. So if you're being real about it, you can tell that's a woman. That is clearly a woman. That's not a man. Right there. Yeah, you see it. So what is this? Who is this devil? Because I did lessons on this devil before. He's an Edomite. It says Leonardo da Vinci and him and Cesare Borgia had a relationship. That's who he painted in most of these paintings as the Messiah. They get it says Italian polymath of the high Renaissance who was active as a painter. And he drew this right here, the Salvator Mundi, the Mona Lisa, all that. So let's go here. So when you look at this biblical artwork, and this is a big stumbling block to the world, because once you put these images in these people's minds, when they think about the Bible, when they think about the people of the Bible, what image comes up in their minds? So-called white people, which is actually a lie. It's the biggest lie that's ever been told in history. But people don't believe it because they under this witchcraft. They under this spell. Look at this biblical so-called artwork. And this is all production of the so-called white man. You see it? And what does it look like when you're looking at it right here? It looks like Roman and Greek artwork, right? I'm going to show you that. So you go to the Greek artwork, the so-called Greek gods, same imagery, right? Look at this, the one at the top. Look at this. This is all the same paintings that they painted during the Renaissance. But what they did, instead of painting Greek and Roman gods, so-called, they just whitewashed everybody in the Bible. That's what they did. And remember, they had to do this to brainwash people, because remember, images can transcend and cross over to different languages. You cannot speak the same language, but an image is universal. And one thing you got to understand as well, anybody can draw an image. Anybody can draw an image. That's something you have to really understand. So once they got possession of the Bible, what they did is went on a campaign to whitewash everything, to take so-called black men and paint them to be so-called white men. Why? First off, it gives them that, the false superiority to dominate other people, because if your God look like this, people are gonna, be conditioned that these people are greater than they are. So that's one of the main reasons why they did that. And secondly, to dominate that control over you. It's all about control. If you control somebody's mind, you control them. And they had other reasons as well, but they wanted to totally control and dominate you. And going back into this perpetual hatred out of the book of Genesis, all right, that Esau and Jacob will have this never-ending beef until the Lord come back and put this devil back in subjection. It says First Maccabees 3:48, and this adds to so much confusion, because if you don't know how the people look or who the people of the Lord are today, the Hebrew Israelites, how would you know what the Bible is about? You won't have a clue. First Maccabees 3:48, it says, and laid open the book of the law. It says, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images, So what I want to focus in on is to analyze this more. In the book of Maccabees, who was in control? It was the so-called Greeks. There was Antiochus Epiphanes, which was the Edomite that dominated our people and made them not call themselves Jews. They couldn't call themselves so-called Jews. They couldn't call themselves Israelites. They had to call themselves Greeks. Thus, you have to understand that there's neither Jew nor Greek that was talking about Israelites. You have to get it. So the first Maccabees is, during the book, the Maccabees, the Greek empire was in power, which were Edomites. And what were they doing? They were spreading that Greek culture, the Edomite culture, to our people. And they was, first off, they showed them images. One of the things they did is showed them different images of Zeus and Apollo and so on and so forth, all these different false Greek gods. And then our people start being indoctrinated by that like they are today with the images. So that's why you look at the Greek and Roman artwork, it's identical to the biblical artwork that you have of these biblical figures that they painted. And that's the saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. The paintbrush is mightier than the sword. Let's go. I think I wanted to show you something else. Salakia. Right here. It says Leonardo da Vinci, The Last Supper. What is this talking about? Depicts the dramatic moment. They changed his name to this J character. Tells his 12 apostles, one of them will betray him, capturing their very emotional reactions: shock, anger, Salakia, denial. You see this? So this is what this is supposed to represent. But I showed you in that painting a woman. So this is all a forgery, a fake, so they can forward this lie. Again, the biggest lie that's ever been told in history. And a lot of these so-called white people got cognitive dissonance because this interrupts their fantasy of them being superior. That's all a fantasy. It's just an illusion. And that illusion is wearing off day by day because you're going to see a turn in the tide. And your next ruler is going to be so-called Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans. And that's going to be hard for the people to comprehend, but it's just the truth. The Lord is fair and balanced. Okay? So again, these the Greek so-called gods. But if you looked at this and I didn't tell you this was so-called Greek gods, you would think this was biblical artwork. Because the same people do the same thing. They don't change. When you go back to Mount Seir, where they from, you're going to see the same architecture. The eagle. Why you think the eagle is everywhere? It's all in their government buildings. The national animal of America is the eagle. Going back to Obadiah, making that marriage with the eagle and Esau, Edom, so you can know who they were today. And there's so many other things I can go into. And Esau was a man of the field. That's why you look at these outdoor stores like Academy and Dick's Sporting Goods, they're geared towards the so-called white man because they the main hunters and game hunters and, poachers and stuff like that. It's in their DNA to be that way, to be that wild man. So listen, I'm showing you proof that everything that you've been taught in modern Christianity is a lie. And our people so caught up and tangled and webbed in Christianity, they can't see the forest from the trees because they under a spell, a literal spell. All right, hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Allah Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rachak Kodash Shalom.